won't read the Mandarin. Don't hide the brutal facts. Make tough decisions based on purpose and mission. And inspire others through your daily action, your words, that you are courageous. You're going to make it through COVID. And of course, if you make mistakes, be open, admit them to show that, hey, I'm human too. Next slide. Again, watch the Stockdale Paradox video. You'll find that gives you courage in COVID. Next slide. Now, here's the next tool. Very powerful. We have a daily personal reflection tool that we spread around the world from Dr. Ron Bonstetter. It's a daily check on how you're doing through COVID. We do this every morning with our team, Monday through Friday, on how they're coping and having success through COVID. Let's take a look at the checklist real quick. You will get a copy of this checklist as well. Can you call it up, please? Yeah, here it is. This is the checklist for COVID leaders. So every day, as a leader, you may want to go through this checklist and score yourself. 10, very good. 1, not so good. You can see these questions will keep you in check to be a true leader through COVID. Talking about them with your team also provides hope and bonding with your team. So every morning we go through some questions in this checklist to see how the team's doing. Again, to show them we're compassionate, we care about them, and to shepherd them through COVID. You'll get this checklist yourself. Use it with yourself and team. Go ahead. All right, let's skip this one. They'll get the checklist themselves. Yeah. All right, next slide. Okay, that's the presentation. So you have the Trompenaars COVID Resilience, you have the Stockdale YouTube video, you have the Keep, Start, Stop tool, and you have the Ron checklist for leaders through COVID. I hope you found this useful. Let's open it now for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So you can, for the participants, you can either type out your questions in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself directly to ask questions for Michael.
Any questions on leading through COVID or self-care through COVID? Oh,
I see that some people are typing, but it's just waiting.
okay.
Actually, Michael, I have a question.
Oh, do you? Yes.
So, Google actually just announced work from home holiday
Yes.
last Friday, and that holiday was really to address work from home burnout. Apparently, with home-based learning, people are sort of suffering from work from home burnout. What are some of the advice or etiquette that you would give to business leaders today to actually lead the team so that to avoid or reduce this burnout issue that we're seeing that could be increasing in the next few months?
Yes, just off the top of my head, firstly, don't zoom out. Being on Zoom or MS Teams or Skype all day is very, very stressful. Limit your Zoom, Skype, MS Team time, number one. Number two, give yourself time to reflect every day. You may not be as busy from a work point of view. Take a rest. Just don't sit at your computer. I mentioned also, shut your laptop down at 6 p.m. Spend time with the family. And then do Ron's checklist. By the way, it is Lebaran or Hari Raya. I gave my team off Thursday and Friday and Monday and Tuesday. All my team is off for 4 days. I gave them rest time, just like Google, again, to recharge through this stressful time. Peishan, we have another seminar coming up on June 8th that I'll run on working from home.
Okay.
That will be specifically how to address the issues of working from home. I think that's on June 8th, if I'm not mistaken.
Hi,
Yes,
Michael. I have a question.
Yes.
Basically, work from home probably would be the norm for many industries. But how do we get over this? Because all along for generations, let's say for last many years, for anyone's in lifetime, we haven't seen this situation. But without human interaction to continue to work from home, how do we cope with that?
Yes, that's a solid point. My best salesman ever in my 30 plus years of running a business, he was very good. I gave him a referral to go back to Canada, where he had to set up a branch office in Ottawa by himself. After a year, he could not work by himself and he needed psychological help because a lot of people want to come to the office, socialize, fellowship, etc. Talking to the HR people that I deal with around Asia, they're sensing that in Asia, maybe only 25 to 30% of work will be done from home, that most people will return to the office, but return to what office could be a big question. Not everybody can work from home. I think that that's what you're telling me. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So what tips or what kind of hints that you can give that we get over this kind of feeling lonely or feeling lost, or in terms of not getting back to the kind of happiness that we used to get when we are interacting personally and physically, I mean, so which we are going to miss?
Yes, I think the number one role is the team leader or the boss. He or she is the shepherd. So what I've done every day, I get people on Zoom, my whole team on Zoom across India, Singapore, Indonesia, and we socialize. Number two is, for a lot of you, you may have been neglecting your children, your family. Spend more time with your family through COVID as well. Thirdly, I think, again, you as the leader, you're the one that will have to lead the way for those that will work from home or not. We don't know what's going to happen when COVID's over, depending on countries, but not everybody can work from home psychologically. And in India, where I have employees, some can't work from home because their apartment is too small and they have little kids. These are real issues. So maybe we can talk about that even more on June 8th when I run the Working from Home seminar, where we do have a work from home profile as well. But not everybody can work from home.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks.
Thank you for your question. Anybody else?
Yeah, we have one question from Norbert Herrick. Her question is, what do you recommend for work for home? Do you recommend fixed hour or do you recommend flexible?
Flexible. You may find some days maybe you're stressed, or the kids have got at you, or your husband was a jerk, excuse me. But you probably want some flex to take time out. So usually I'll take flex. I'll maybe go back and lay in my bed, take a nap for a bit, reflect or whatever. I would flex. It is stressful to sit in front of a laptop or in Zoom all day long. Number two is, if you are in front of the laptop till very late, the blue light from the laptop can interfere with good sleep. Be flexible.
Okay. We recommend, okay, she says thank you. So we recommend participants to identify yourselves, a quick introduction before asking questions, so we can get to know you better as well. Any more questions from the floor?
How does?
I have one question.
Yeah.
It's from Jade Griffin.
I'm in trouble now.
How does managing a multicultural team change during a crisis?
It does. For example, I run a team in Indonesia. Indonesia is a very harmonious country. Most people are steady and harmonious. And under stress, harmonious people withdraw. So I have to up my open-ended questions and draw people into a Zoom meeting because they're not used to dealing in that dimension of Zoom or Skype. So I have to shepherd the different cultures in my meeting. So Indonesia, draw them in, ask questions, build trust, and give harmony. In other cultures, maybe people, certain cultures talk too much, like Americans. You may have to, again, use your facilitation skills to stop long-winded questions or whatever. What I did find, though, is inspiring and instilling trust and openness, regardless of the culture, over Zoom, Skype, or whatever, is very, very important. People are worried about their jobs. They're worried about how things are changing. So you have to inspire them and give them trust, regardless of the culture.
Okay, we have questions from Michelle and Yuko as well.
Yes.
Michelle's question is, when you have staff who have young children and they are working from home, how do you suggest they can ask for help and support from their teams and their leader?
Well, actually in our home, I'm living with Jade and Jasmine, and we have little Lara, who's 2 years old. I've trained her at 2 years old. She can stay in my bedroom when I do work, and she doesn't bother me. It takes training. That's for 2 years old and above. You have to set boundaries, tell them that daddy's working or mommy's working, and set the boundaries in an I'm okay, you're okay matter. Younger babies, of course, that's not, you can't do that. You have to take time out to take care of the kid. Not everybody has a servant or a maid to help take care of the kid. So in these times also, the cooperation and collaboration between mom and dad is also important. Mom's work and timing may be different than dad's. I think the collaboration here to help manage the kids is very important. I read today, divorces are going up by 25% in Singapore because during COVID, if you're married, it either is going to uncover the fissures in your relationship or bond you closer as husband and wife. Yeah, go ahead.
So Michael, very good point on the setting boundaries. This brings on to the next question from Yuko. What is a tip that you would give for setting boundaries with family members?
One is you may have to talk to them. Working from home is new for, gosh, what percent of people? I bet you 80, 90% of people have never worked, long-term from home. So having a chat with your family members on your job, what you're doing, and how you have to work, and then collaborate. And what's going to happen is, gee, I never knew you worked so hard, or gee, I never knew you had this job. So I think sitting down with your parents, many Singaporeans are still living with their parents and explaining things. Number two is if you can work in your bedroom and shut the door, if you have your own room, that would also be good. But I think the main thing is sit down and have a discussion on how we're going to work together and collaborate through this COVID in our apartment or our home. That's the key.
Okay, we have another question from Dreaming from ISVE Singapore.
Yes.
What's your opinion if the crisis prolongs? How do you get your team to adapt to new challenges again?
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur businessman. It might be a bit easier for me to adapt my company because we're small. We're giving you a Korn Ferry, what would you say, a Korn Ferry brochure pack of what Korn Ferry and HR is telling large multinationals around the world on how to change and what happens if you're in the middle. The people at the top, the board of directors and shareholders, they're going to think about what to do and change, and then it gets delivered down to the mid-level people where most of us are at. You have to keep tuned in to your company's vision and directors and how things are changing so that you can translate that down as the shepherd of your team. So for example, sales. if face-to-face selling is not going to happen for many months, you may have to be the shepherd to train your sales and customer service team to deal virtually with customers to keep revenue up and running. A great example.
Yeah, so to add on to Michael's point and also to Dreaming's question, you know, even in my course of work, we thought, you know, this period is the best time to drive people to use technology. So
Yeah.
for example, I have been implementing Salesforce, you know, among sales team in our portfolio. I mean, there's no reason for people to say, oh, we're so busy meeting customer, right?
Mhm.
Basically have to log in all your calls, you know, with the customer on the system. And thankfully and fortunately, it has gained a lot of traction because there is immense pressure from the top to want to monitor sales activity during COVID situation. And people are saying, you know, if I can't show you, you know, who I'm meeting, then, you know, I better document it down. So I would say use this period to think of technologies that we could use so that we can emerge stronger post-COVID. One last question because
Wait,
we're
I gotta build on that.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, we forgot everything we talked about today can be applied to your customers. Your customers are stressed. They're trying to figure out what to do. So you can also use what we taught you today and the tools with your customers to bond virtually with your customers who are having many of the same problems. Thank you for talking about that. Thank you.
No problem. Last question, because we do want to keep to the time. How do we ensure as a leader with a new employee on a team, he could feel connected to the team during this COVID situation?
Well, one is what I normally do when a new member joins the team, and especially as virtually, is again, you may have to take more initiative to get the team members involved in working with others. I use DISC profiling. Some people use MBTI. I have our new member do a DISC and they share it virtually, their DISC profile and their motivators. Some people may use Strength Finder. That's really a good way to start a good team meeting. I also have them talk about their family, show family photos of the new employee, the older employees. They can share their family life, that we're not just focused on targets and goals, but we truly take you in with our hearts as well. So these are just two examples: profiling, sharing profiles, as well as sharing the family side. And don't forget, the Ron checklist works really well with new employees as well. Good, thank you for that.
Thank you, Michael. So we're coming to the end of our webinar session today. The last part, you know, we usually have the SIP self-compassion signature course. And the idea is, you know, how we could show compassion and seek blessing for our loved ones and COVID workers, including healthcare, sanitization workers, for their unyielding support and effort during the trying time. So the post that we do here, it's usually in 2 steps, and we can all do it together. Oh, I do have one question, one last question.
Okay.
Let's just take this because, you know, we have from Lo Chun Wai. What are the performance measures when we work from home? Just one last question before we end this.
Yeah, focus on leading indicators, not lagging. I don't have a lot of time to explain that, but you may want to look at Kaplan and Norton, a balanced scorecard, to get a good definition of leading indicators and lagging. Leading indicators lead to success. How much time you spend on Zoom a day, how much time you spend reflecting. The Ron's checklist is a good, actually the whole Ron's checklist is leading indicators as well. So focus on leading indicators rather than how much sales are you bringing in, what are you doing, that type of thing. So go do your research on leading versus lagging KPIs or goals.
Okay, so the last, the signature post that we're going to do, it's that it goes like that. We are in it together, and we will get through this together. So should we do it one more time?
Okay.
We are in it together, and we will get through this together.
Together, yes.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. You know, thank you. I mean, I enjoyed the session very much. We have very active participation from 37 of our participants today. Do join us for the next session on 28 May for mindfulness and compassion, and follow us on social media for the latest update. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing the next session.
Thank you. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
All right, give the group a hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.